Please rise for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the village board meeting of July 22nd, 2024. Roll call, please.
Stacy.
Here.
Terry.
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
Gardner.
Here.
Weisbach.
Here.
Giannotti.
Here.
In your packet, you have minutes for the last meeting of July 8th. Does anyone have any changes or additions? If not, we have a motion to approve.
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Stacy.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Weisbach.
Yes.
Giannotti.
Abstain.
Alrighty, and we do not have a village clerk report. Does anyone from the audience wish to address the board? All right, under my report, first we have Surf Internet. I'm assuming that's you. All right, we have a presentation planned from Surf Internet. If you would like to take that over.
Sure. Appreciate you letting me come this evening. My name is Scott Franco. I'm with Surf Internet. I'll give the condensed short version of a little bit who we are, and then I'll let your questions kind of guide from there. Maybe some of you have heard of us. Our parent company is Surf Air Wireless. I know that some of you have had service in the past from us. We've been in the broadband business for 25 years. We're one of the top E-rate providers with schools in the state of Illinois and also in Indiana. Our footprint's mostly in the upper part of Indiana, the upper part of Illinois, and a little bit into Michigan. We started a conversation a few months ago with Beecher along with some of your neighbors. If we went up the street to Steger or Moments, if we go down the street over toward Grant Park, and if you were to kind of follow that path on over into Indiana, you start to get over into the Lowell area, and if we were to kind of lift up on a map. The reason I mention those is you have a real nice opportunity to work with us. We want to be here. We didn't ask the village for any funding. We want to self-fund a broadband build with fiber optic for the community, but it's also part of the Illinois Connect grant funds. That's not funding the build here, but it's helping your rural neighbors in between. So we're working with a lot of rural places, and the fiber that we put into the markets in between is very strategic for us to be able to help serve those rural residents. But when it comes to Beecher and some other communities, if we follow kind of going into Illinois a little bit, we just did a project a few months ago with, I'll just mention some, I mentioned schools earlier, but we're the Bondfield and Berkshire limestone areas with the schools there. We built them out with a fiber network a couple of years ago, and because of that, it allowed us to start to expand that network into the communities to give those residents an option for high-speed fiber. So fiber is kind of a hot topic everywhere you go because of its means of broadband, which is unmatched with other forms of broadband, and that's the unique opportunity that you have to work with us because we'd like to be here. I thought I'd maybe open up to some questions and go from there, but just a little bit of how we got to this point. We have been talking to Beecher along with some of these other communities. Our most recent meeting from a few weeks back was what we call kind of a pre-design meeting, where it gives us a chance to talk on both sides of the table a little bit more about what a project like that entails for the community, what the construction would look like. Your input helps guide some things on our side that we start to fine-tune the plans that we actually have before construction would take off. And then you'd have the same opportunity before we would do a project to have a pre-construction meeting and to meet more people than just myself and the few of us that were on that call that we had. A project manager, the designers behind the project, last minute questions. The last thing we want to do is be a big disruption to the area, and so we like to know when your festivals are or when your improvements are planned, and make sure that we understand all those things ahead of time. So we've been through that process, and we're looking forward to the next sets of steps that it takes to do a project. We think we can do a project if we keep things going favorably together yet this year and make an impact for the community yet this year. So that what that means for residents is, in the end, they'll have an opportunity to have up to 2 gig symmetrical speed fiber. And some people raise their hand at that point and say, I don't even know what you mean by symmetrical. Some folks do, some don't, but that's where your download and your upload speeds are the same, whether it's 1 gig or 2 gig, 500. And that's real important in the future. It's really important now, but it's very important in the future as we see the technologies are changing and the more things that are happening, whether you're at school or in your home, to have the symmetrical speed. So maybe I'll slow down at that point, and just see maybe what specific questions any of you may have, or in the audience or anything.
Do you have a map of where you'd be running lines? This is all underground, correct?
Yeah, I didn't come this evening with a printed map, but we did show a footprint of the village and the boundaries. In the future, we would always look for what we call edge out opportunities, especially as there's progression in the area, like if there's a new development that's going to take place, but pretty much within the boundaries of the village. And directional boring is our preference in the ground.
What meeting are you talking about? Like, you keep referencing a previous meeting.
He met with, yes,
We did a
the two
Zoom.
of us, we did a
Okay.
Zoom call and with Matt also.
That was just a.
Yeah, like a preliminary meeting to see.
And then this was.
Yeah, and who'd you refer to, Matt?
Matt,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's right.
Right.
Our
Over
public
there.
works,
Okay.
yeah, our public
Yeah.
works
So when
superintendent.
we have these real high-level discussion, unlike tonight, people involved with, that knows your utilities, your streets, or your public works, it's just a glimpse into the project before we get to like we're doing this evening. And then we have the same opportunity to get a little bit more. You haven't even seen a real detailed plan. You saw what we call the high-level plan, so you get an idea where we would go, where the boundaries are, and we start to get input for important things that we just might not know at that high level.
And the map that we looked at that time, and again, it was just a, like a vague level, but it was pretty much everywhere
Yeah.
in town. Even though there would be some impediments to that, like, as we said, there are some parts of town that we just don't see how we would get it there, especially if you're doing underground, but that's, to be,
Yeah, final
to be
design,
discussed.
it's so important, we have to do what we call a hybrid or a little aerial, we can do that. But we just haven't gotten to that point. I think this evening was to make sure that everyone's aware of who we are, introduce ourselves, what we'd like to do, and hope that we can still work together. Especially, like I said, when you have the opportunity, because that grant funding allows us, it's those paths in between, it's the route in between the markets, that's Illinois Connect state funding to help with broadband, which really allows this to be attractive. It'd be very much more difficult if we didn't have the grant in between the markets that we're gonna build.
Basically, this is just bringing options to, I mean, just at least,
Nobody has to sign up
Yeah.
for it.
no, well, I'm just like, and I know you mentioned rural, but that's, like, we don't really have any purview over that. But this is just to bring options to the residents in town with, as
Yeah,
far as internet
rural
goes.
is separate. We wanna come here and serve the residents of Beecher, so that every home has the opportunity. Whether anyone signs up or not, that's our risk and our investment that we can bring to town. Yeah.
you'd be giving us the availability.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Some residents wanna know what's in it for us. I mentioned those variable speeds, 100, 500, 1 gig, 2 gig symmetrical speed. And then we try to work with residents to make things very simple with us, like no connection fees, no contracts, no added fees and taxes on your bill. Like I said, no connection fees, and whatever a person signs up with us is a price lock for life at that speed until they would make a change in the future if they do. That's just how we've operated for 25 years.
Is there a timeline as to when you want to start the
Well,
boring and?
When
all
you're
the project?
awarded grant money, so again, I keep bringing that up, and that's independent of this bill, but we look at it as sort of like they go together because the resources put in play, and you have a certain timeline to act on that, like 2 years to finish a project. I think it's our intention that if we could start this calendar year, like in the next 60, 90 days, and start means that process of going from this meeting to put more detail to the plans, to being able to present you something in more detail, and then have that pre-construction meeting, and start to walk out the process that's involved with permits. I don't know if you have railroads and all that, but we're used to working with all of that, the highway, the county, the DOT, if there's railroads and things like that involved, and then at your local level. So all that has to kind of work its way through, but then if we could get the actual construction it should only take a few months to do that. So it's very possible that, by Thanksgiving, you'd be what we call a gig city with fiber.
So in that amount of time, you can get service to the entire town, essentially?
So what's your population?
4,800-ish?
Yeah, about 4,800-ish.
4,800. I might be exaggerating by November. But it would be short after. So when we take a project, so when you say 4,800, if you did some quick math and divide by 2.5, it gives you like the households, addresses. And we take a project, we talked about this, so that when we break a project into bite-sized pieces, we call them serving areas. So we don't disrupt and just make a mess everywhere. And a serving area can be anywhere from basically 1 to 300 homes on average. And so we work a serving area at a time. Or if we can get a couple crews going and we're not too disruptive, then keep up with the locate process and all that, maybe we can work on 2. And every serving area takes, on average, about 40 days from start to finish. And finish means, they blow the fiber through, they test it, they splice it, they light it up. And then those residents actually have an opportunity to start connecting to the network while we move on to the next one, the next one, the next one. And we just keep that pace going pretty quickly.
I know you said that we weren't available for grant, but what towns within our area are grant awarded?
So you gotta look at what you're, like if you're served, if you have service and you have options, grant funding usually goes to those folks that are unserved or underserved. They're not served at all, they have very limited choices, or their speeds are below a certain
Is there any
threshold.
towns around us that are getting, that are?
Not municipally, but in between.
What
So-
do you mean in between?
Unincorporated
The
areas.
unincorporated areas, mostly are gonna get the grant. So if we go inland state a little bit, up toward Morris, we're doing the same thing around Magnolia, like in Claypool, the south side of Morris. That's another area that we're putting grant funding to work. Those markets that I mentioned, though, they're more like, they're a municipal footprint. And, but putting the networks into those places, we gotta look at what we call the transport, getting from here to here to here with that light. So those are pretty strategic. So one, it's gonna serve those communities. 2, they want it, we've been meeting with all of them, and they have very limited, they don't like their options. They're not high-speed fiber. And 3, that it helps us to serve those rural places that are in between those municipal places.
And your company assumes all the costs?
Have you accomplished this anywhere in other towns already, or is this?
We have offices like in Coal City, Rock Falls, and if I was starting to just think, like I mentioned, Herscher area already built. Right now we're up in Boone County. It's pretty rural up in there, so we're working with Harvard, Capron, Poplar Grove. We're over, from there, if we work our way down, we're breaking ground in Freeport. That's probably our biggest market in Illinois. At this time, we mostly work with smaller communities like yourselves. We're a little bit further in the process with like Moments. I mentioned some of those others. I would be with Steger tomorrow to see when we're going to actually put a timeline for kicking things off. But we're going to be going forward soon in Moments, and also with Grant Park. I'll be back over there in a couple nights, and we're going to do a couple things to kick things off. But we are in Dixon, we are in Rock Falls, we are in Sterling, Oglesby, I think in Ottawa. If I just start thinking through, I'll think of some others here that we're in. Like I said, we're in Coal City because we have an office over there. We're actually breaking ground right next door to them in Braidwood. We just broke ground in Earlville. I say break ground, we had groundbreaking, so when we do these projects, and we like to have like a little groundbreaking to kind of kick things off and commemorate the fact that we're moving forward on a project together. If you need a list of others, our website's really good too. If you go to our website, you can see real quickly at a glance where we're coming, where we are. We make a lot of coming soon announcements.
Does the village have a say on the map, like your guys' final map and cabinet placement?
Yeah.
Or is it just once you
Well,
guys map it out and say this is where
No,
you'd like to go?
to a degree, and we're gonna map it out, but we don't, when you get to the edges, one of the things that we do work together, we left it as a to be determined thing. So most of the network is underground, but there's a component to it like an OLT. You may be looking at it in that package in there somewhere, there's probably a picture of an above ground box, maybe a couple pages back.
Yeah.
You know, it's the larger piece of the network. So that, we got to work together to find your guidance where we want to put something like that. Sure. See what it is. See the next page. There you go.
Yeah, it's a picture of a big box.
Yeah. So that's got to go someplace, and we show where we prefer, maybe an option ABC on a map, and usually it's in like the central part of the bill, wherever it makes sense, and usually, so we work together on a few things, like, could there be a construction lay-down yard, staging yard? If not, we find something outside the village limits. So we look for your guidance on these things, including the boundaries of the map.
We recently had a project in town where the school is extending their internet connection for high speed, and it went through a lot of our residents' parkways, and we did receive some complaints.
Nobody likes to do it.
I know,
No, but
that's my concern,
I
is
know,
the
so we
restoration,
go,
then.
we spend time on that, but we try to communicate, over-communicate, where we can handle residents and mitigate calls to you. And then our whole process isn't about selling fiber while we're doing construction. It's all about who you call, how we can work together, and how to keep the calls from coming to you. We try to restore as quickly as possible as we move along.
We'd like to work with you on that.
We trust it. We're in about 100 communities, and nobody likes their yard touched. Or what they perceive as yard a lot of times, with the right of way in the area.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, do I just stay in touch with you for the next step?
Yep.
Okay. And I think it looks like you all have my information, so I'm a phone call away, or we can always have another meeting if we need to, if you have any questions with, and I'll just keep you appraised of like our preferred timeline. I mean, you're kind of driving things, but it's already summertime, so we like to kind of keep things moving if we could, in a favorable direction. Anybody else have questions from?
Anybody in the audience want to ask him anything?
Okay.
I will laugh, I'll keep my mouth shut.
I saw you over there ready to explode.
All right, with that,
Thank you.
I'll excuse myself, and y'all have a good evening.
Thanks for
Thank
taking
you.
it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll just get the list from you later. All right, next on the agenda is a presentation to Robert Barber. I know we've done many of these, from the time that Bob left as village administrator, but this was something that had been on order that took a while to come in. So we have maybe not the final presentation. I think there might be one other item that won't make it here tonight, but.
Next time I'll just wear my Beecher shirt.
Oh, that's quite all right. You gotta get that suit back on again. So would you like to come up and,
Who would you like to do this, back there or here?
Might as well do it by flag.
yeah,
Gotta be traditional.
let's get some fancy.
No.
I don't know what that is.
A piece fell off.
It's a V.
Somebody's
yours.
fell apart, I guess. You might even know what it is.
It's a presentation. 1988. Where did you find that?
So this is a cool presentation that I haven't even seen yet.
There we go. All your history.
Oh, and my mail, there's my mail clip. Take it to the house with you.
So one more piece for you,
Oh, thank you. I'll do it.
some memorabilia.
All those missing ID cards.
Thank you.
I know you guys had a lot to do with it. Thank you. Tell me when you're done. There you go.
I'm gonna get a couple over here, Bob.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, a couple of things. I didn't have a chance to formally thank you guys for the Bob Barber Boulevard on Penfield. My mind was racing. It's opening night of 4th of July, and you guys throw that curveball at me, you know? And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Everyone's standing in a row, let's go. But that was a very nice award. I'm glad to see the street done. I hope your complaints are done. I hope people now like the project instead of complain about it. It really looks nice at the end of the day. Police station's coming along. I mean, that's fantastic to see the police station get constructed. Bob was sharing me his packet, and I was looking over the financials. You guys are still good in financials. Charity doing a good job. Keep the finances in good shape. Todd, I'm sure you're watching the bills. That's all I got to say. Thank you. I'm going back to the golf course.
All right.
I see Jake every Monday morning at Deer Creek, or every other Monday.
Every other, yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. BNF Construction. We were under contract last year with BNF to do our annual fire inspections, and the contract actually allowed for continuation with no more than 3% price increase year over year. So after a lot of back and forth, the gentleman that we've been dealing with is no longer with the company, so the replacement is brand new, so there was kind of a little bit of a kerfuffle going back and forth trying to get the communication done. But you have a copy of the next contract, and basically it has gone up. This one was at $90 per hour. We emailed today, and it will be $92.70.
3%.
Which is exactly 3% increase, which is what the contract had called for if we extended it, so, you know.
This is the contract from last year, it just
Yeah,
has an increase of
yeah, yeah, so it would be $92.70 an hour instead of $90 an hour. Does anyone
which
have
is
any?
like not even $300. If I figured up all of the inspections and travel time that we had last year,
Okay.
did that 3% increase, it wasn't. It was like $300.
So we're still within budget.
Yeah.
Yep. Anybody have any concerns or, no? All right, perfect. Committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee, Trustee Cross.
Okay, consider a motion approving the treasurer's report. Wait, that's not this one. It's,
It's in there.
the very back.
Oh, the very back.
You gonna give this one?
And then treasurer.
What's that?
Oh, she's got a vacation day.
In there for her. Okay. Oh, does anyone have any questions about the treasurer's report? Like to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Weisbud,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion approving the list of bills and payroll in the amount of $427,755.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Weisbud,
Yes.
Giannotti.
Yes.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Public Buildings and Properties, Parks and Recreation Committee, Trustee Giannotti.
Thank you. Update on the public safety facility construction. I believe, last I heard, the chief had met with Wayne to discuss colors for the exterior and
Yeah, we're
everything.
meeting with them again Wednesday.
Okay, and then, I had emailed, or I had called Jim, last week. He was out of town, so he was gonna be sending an update out this week, kinda to give us an update on the progress. He's just been out of town, so, as soon as I get that, I'll make sure that gets forwarded on, so that we know where we're at. But, I was over there the other day, progress continues to be moving, and so,
They're putting in the electric today, it looks like they've already started the plumbing as well.
Yeah, so getting all that infrastructure in and stuff so they can start building. With that, I conclude my report.
Alrighty. Planning, Building and Zoning Committee, trustee Gardner.
Thank you. The next planning and zoning commission meeting is scheduled for July 25th at 7 o'clock. Public hearing for a special use permit in a B1 historic downtown business district for a U-Haul rental business located at 759 West Indiana Avenue is scheduled for this meeting. Zoning ordinance revision. Good news, barring any unforeseen circumstances, the steering committee met for the final time. And the ordinance should go to the PZC at their August meeting. And that concludes my report.
Excellent. Public Safety Committee, trustee Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. We have an update with our Laraway Communications Center. We had attended a budget workshop that was held at the LLC back on July 11th, and they pretty much basically went over a lot of their budgeting and what they're charging for us as a small town. Unfortunately, our fees keep going up. There's different incentives that they're gonna go, and they can't actually give us details until their actual board of directors meet and approve. But as far as like what we may be able to get back as a refund, or, you know, we got a refund on last time versus like the grant or how they distribute the funds. So we'll know more on that as it comes. I think they're meeting in July 25th.
Yeah, Thursday.
Is their meeting, so.
Have they talked about raising the rates at all, or what's?
Yeah, the rates are gonna raise. I don't remember our specific dollar amount. Do you remember? What do you got, chief?
We went up
How bad
significantly,
is it?
our rates are
It's
gonna go up $50,000. But we asked that instead of giving us a rebate to buy equipment, that we put that toward our fees. And there is a reserve fund that they gave us last year, which we expect to get again this year, but we're asking that our two board members, I believe, trustee Thierry and Charity is both our board members, so hopefully we can probably get a little bit more benefit from the reserve fund. And also our adjudication is going very well, so, you know, I believe we'll be able to cover it with the adjudication, but that wasn't what we expected to spend our adjudication fund on, so.
And then also I'd like to, and just as a reminder with everybody, we've got August 6th is our National Night Out. That'll be at Fireman's Park from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. There'll be free food and drink. We'll have the different touch trucks, bouncy presentations. I heard the chief said he was gonna put together a dodgeball team, so I don't, we're still in. So,
Resources trustees?
I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
I'm in.
So, but that concludes my report.
Public Works Committee, trustee Stacy.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Works monthly report for the month of June is attached. And we would like to express our sincere gratitude, first to our own Public Works staff, who did an absolutely outstanding job in handling the cleanup in response to the recent storms. We would also like to extend our sincerest thanks to the staff of Moni Public Works, Creek Public Works, Washington Township Highway Department, and the Will County Department of Transportation for their tremendous support and outstanding work provided during the cleanup efforts. The aftermath of the storm can be overwhelming to smaller communities, so their willingness not only to show up, but bring their own wood chippers and grabbers and clam buckets to assist was instrumental in a swift and thorough cleanup. The prompt response and dedication to all staff is invaluable in ensuring the safety of our residents and is truly commendable. Very good job, man.
Great job.
Thank you.
I'd like to consider a motion for the declaring a 2005 Chevrolet 3500 pickup with Boss snowplow as surplus property and setting the minimum bid price. This vehicle has 152,000 miles and would be sold as is. I would like to make that motion.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion? Roll call? Giannotti?
Yes.
Weissbaum,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes. Okay, I'd like to consider a motion declaring a 2006 Chevy 3500 mini dump with Boss snowplow as surplus property, setting a minimum bid price. Vehicle has 97,000 miles on it and would be sold as is. I would like to make that motion.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion? Roll call?
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Kraus,
Good answer for you. Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Weissbaum,
Yes.
Giannotti.
Yes.
And
Are we setting the minimum price as part of this, or are we gonna set that later on, before we go out? I guess I can ask you that,
Should've
yeah.
said that.
We can probably have a discussion on it after this to set that minimum bid, as long as once the sale,
Okay,
we'll probably place the vehicles out front here as well as at the public workshop like we normally do, and
okay,
set the minimum at that point.
at that point,
Yeah.
okay, perfect. Okay, sorry.
That's all right, Mayor. And item number 5, I'd like to table this until we review and complete the CESA fund evaluation.
I think, did we go through that already, or?
Yeah, we talked about it at the.
So we went through the CESFA. It's more of a financial review, and we need to redo the resolution.
Gotcha.
The current resolution does not allow CESFA funds to be used for any new purchase, so we can't purchase it out of the CESFA fund either way. So,
We just have to adjust the resolution.
And my last thing is, I would like to turn it over to Superintendent Connor to introduce our new Assistant Superintendent.
Adam, stand up. Just real quick, want to introduce Adam Held. He's our new Assistant Public Works Superintendent. He comes to us with 22 years out of Dyer Public Works. Got a lot of underground knowledge and things of that nature. He seems to be fitting in well with the crew. Kind of threw him through a loophole there with the tornado and whatnot coming through and all the dealing with all that. So
Beecher.
just wanted to, just wanted all of you to be able to recognize him when you see him on the street. So
I'd like to thank
Go
everybody.
again.
I'd like to thank everybody for the opportunity to be here. Working alongside Matt so far has been great. Tornado, yes, it happens. Back in '05, Dyer had a huge microburst, so it's that kind of like, I was used to it a little bit, but it had been a long time, so I'm like, uh-oh. But once again, thank you guys, and hopefully see you out there, and hopefully it'll continue going what's going on here, good.
Thank you, sounds good,
Best
thank
to
you.
you, man.
Thank you.
All right, Adam. And that's my report, Mayor.
All right, Economic Development, Community Relations Committee, Trustee Weissman.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Well, that's nice and quick. All right. All right, is there any old business to come before the board?
Can I go?
Yes, you can.
No, we cannot.
Yeah, I know.
To,
Yeah, that's a no.
waive it.
I'm just gonna read this because otherwise I'll get long-winded. Dear President Meyer and Board of Trustees, it's with careful thought and consideration that I am writing this letter to inform you that at the adjournment of tonight's meeting, I will be resigning from my position as village trustee. Over the past few months, I've had many changes to my life that have made me realize that I need to shift my focus to my family. With my daughter starting kindergarten and the recent passing and unexpected passing of my father, I know that I will not be able to put the proper amount of focus on the tasks of being a trustee. I would like to take this opportunity to personally thank you, Marcy, for selecting me to fill your position on the village board after your election to the village president. I am grateful for all your support and guidance that you have given me over the past several years.
I would also like to thank everyone that I have served with as a trustee. Although we haven't always agreed on every decision that we've made, I have found it encouraging that we still get together and find the right solutions that are best for the village and its residents. I also want to thank all the village staff, from everyone at Village Hall to all the employees at Public Works, the Police Department, and EMA. Without your dedication to your jobs, this village would not be where it is today. I would like to thank all the residents of the village for electing me and giving me the opportunity to serve you. I have met so many of you and have started wonderful new friendships because of my time on the board. Finally, I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank my family for everything they have done for me to allow me to serve on this board. Over the past 3 years, my parents, siblings, and girlfriend have dropped everything to watch my daughter so that I can spend time at meetings and events. There are no number of words that can express my gratitude towards all of you. As I reflect on my time on the board, I want to say that my goal was always to do what I thought was best in the best interest of the residents of Beecher. It has been an honor to serve you as a trustee. Thank you all, and thank God.
So we have a little certificate for you because we have to give you a piece of paper to commemorate the time here. I just want to say personally, that when I appointed you to the board, the thing that impressed me the most was there were no grudges, there was no complaints about what prior boards had done, there was no complaining, no negativity at all. You just told me that you wanted to give your time to serve the community that you loved, where you grew up, and that's all you wanted to do was serve, and that's exactly what you've done, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And here we have, in recognition and appreciation of over 3 years of dedicated and committed service to the Village of Beecher, the 4th of July Commission, and citizens of Beecher.
Hey, Joe?
This valuable piece of paper.
Thanks,
All right, well, on that note, I will be talking to people who may be interested in a board seat, since this will have to be, it's a little further from the election, we can't leave the seat open. So, that'll be the next step. We need to adjourn into executive session. If we could have a motion to go to executive session to discuss personnel.
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, roll call. Giannotti?
Yes.
Weisman?
Yes.
Gardner?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.